What's up, y'all? Welcome to Political Fight Club. This is an episode about good news, for once. I've done a couple of bad news episodes today, and usually that's what you get on my show, is a lot of bad news, but I do have some good things going on, both in the United States and in other countries. First and foremost, Pedro Castillo, the Socialist, has been sworn in as president of Peru. We covered this on my show. He was running against the far-right fascist Keiko Fujimori, and he won. It was awesome. It was close. And I was worried there for a while because Keiko Fujimori was signaling to the United States via this televised speech when she was just about to lose the election that she wanted them to come in and basically do a coup, which the United States routinely does and interferes in elections like this all the time. But the results are in. All the things Fujimori was saying about Castillo stealing a bunch of her votes that's not true. It didn't happen. So he's now been sworn in, and that is good. And I'm going to talk about what we can expect in the future. I want to keep my eye on Castillo and see what he does. Secondly, good news. The Bessemer, Alabama Amazon factory tried to vote to unionize back in April, and they failed miserably in that vote. I thought they were going to unionize, man. I really thought they were. The results took forever to come out. I knew that Amazon was up to some fuckery down there. And as it turned out, I was super wrong. I predicted that they were going to vote to unionize. They voted 2-1 not to unionize. But the National Labor Relations Board has decided that Amazon did, in fact, interfere in ways that broke labor laws. So it looks like we might actually get a recount. Now, there's still another step involved, and it looks like Amazon is obviously going to appeal this. So it's going to be weeks. We won't know for a while. But it looks like we might actually get a recount down there, which I knew it, man. I was like, dude, no way they voted 2-1. 2-1 not to unionize with the way that they're being treated? No fucking way. I was like, Amazon broke some laws here, and I'm going to break down exactly what they did get nailed for second here. So first and foremost, let's talk about Pedro Castillo. Officials on Monday night declared Socialist Pedro Castillo the winner of last month's presidential election in Peru, following weeks of delays caused by far-right candidate Keiko Fujimori's baseless allegations of electoral fraud. Castillo, the son of illiterate peasant farmers from a poor Andean region, defeated Fujimori, the daughter of jailed former Peruvian dictator Alberto Fujimori, and symbol of the South American nation's wealthy elite, by a margin of more than 44,000 votes in the June 6th runoff election. But the official results were postponed for over a month due to appeals made by Fujimori's campaign. Quote, Fujimori accused Castillo's supporters of tampering with tally sheets across the country. But in the weeks that followed the vote, no one came forward to corroborate their central claim, that the identities of hundreds of poll workers had been stolen and their signatures were falsified. That was the New York Times. In an, quote, action that would have disenfranchised many poor and indigenous Peruvians, Fujimori attempted to have about 200,000 votes tossed out in areas where Castillo won by landslide. On Monday, the country's National Electoral Court dismissed Fujimori's request to invalidate ballots from impoverished rural areas. The court's rejection of Fujimori's effort to overturn the will of the Peruvian voters solidified her third straight defeat at the polls. So this is good news. Now, I'm not 100% for Castillo. I've heard he's kind of right-wing in terms of like his social politics, meaning I think he's like pro-life, and there's some other things that I don't quite agree with him on, but he used to be a teacher, and he grew up very poor, and his economics are socialist. So this makes me very happy. Now, here's what we can expect. Like most countries that end up with some sort of socialist leader, we can expect the United States to sanction the living fuck out of them in an attempt to make it look like the socialist leading the country is causing the country to go into ruins. We do this in Venezuela, Cuba, etc., etc. So that's what I worry about here. I hope that Castillo can flourish regardless, but this is out of the CIA playbook, basically. The United States will go in and sanction the living hell out of Peru in some way or another to make it look like their economy is not flourishing, and they'll blame it on socialism. That's the next play coming out, so I worry about it a little bit, but it's still good news, guys. Everything has to be, I'll take a glass half full where I can get it. Okay, second thing that was good news is the Bessemer union, and they did vote 2-1 to not unionize back in like April. Now I'm going to read to you here from Reuters about how it turned out that a mailbox that they were turning in a lot of their ballots in, it had a surveillance camera on it. and the workers were being made to think that they were being surveilled. Their identities were not being kept private when they were turning in their ballots, and that there would be repercussions for if they didn't vote down the union. So there were other things that they did. I'm going to read those to you as well. But that was the one that they got nailed for, guys. E-commerce giant Amazon.com interfered with a union election by installing a mailbox to collect ballots and by distributing paraphernalia encouraging employees to vote against organizing, according to a report by the U.S. National Labor Relations Board hearing officer. The NLRB official on Monday recommended a rerun of the landmark Amazon union election in Alabama, where employees overwhelmingly voted against making their warehouse the online retailer's first to organize in the U.S. In the coming weeks, a regional director for the NLRB will decide whether to order the rerun based on the recommendation, said an official on Monday with the board, who asked not to be named. The election results in April showed workers rejected the effort by the retail, wholesale, and department store union to organize the Amazon facility by a more than 2-to-1 margin. Amazon, recapitulating a statement it provided on Monday, said it would appeal. Of course they will. Quote, our employees had a chance to be heard during the noisy time when all types of voices were weighing into the national debate, and at the end of the day, they voted overwhelmingly in favor of a direct connection with their managers and the company said. Amazon's efforts to have the U.S. Postal Service install a mailbox outside Bessemer, Alabama fulfillment center usurped the NLRB's exclusive role in administering union elections and interfered with conditions necessary to conduct a fair vote, according to the hearing officer's report, which the NLRB released on Tuesday. Now, security cameras overlooking the mailbox site gave employees the impression that they were under surveillance, the hearing officer found. A tent erected around the mailbox, adorned with a company campaign slogan, while not enough on its own to invalidate the vote, amounted to an electioneering that tainted the election, she added. Now, there's other stuff here. The hearing officer also found objectionable Amazon's distribution of Vote No pins and other anti-organizing paraphernalia to employees in the presence of managers and supervisors. Amazon has said the mailbox was installed to give nearly 6,000 eligible voters a convenient option for returning their ballots. It argued that distribution of anti-union materials to employees in the presence of managers was not objectionable because the company did not maintain a list of workers who received paraphernalia, according to the hearing officer's report. That's the lamest excuse I've ever fucking heard in my life. Okay. The U.S. labor law forbids companies from spying on organizing activities or leaving employees with the impression that they are under surveillance. It also prohibits other actions if they are found to be coercive. Still, employers such as Amazon have wide legal latitude to campaign aggressively, including by requiring employees to attend mandatory meetings that cast unions in a negative light. Amazon held such meetings, sent text messages to employees, and even displayed campaign literature in at least one of Alabama warehouse's restroom stalls. And as far as I know, they've also had some of their employees followed on their days off work when they're not at work. This is union busting. This is illegal. So this is awesome. My prediction is that we might actually get this. But Amazon, you never know. These companies have infinite money, infinite wealth, and infinite connections. So if there's a loophole to get them out of this, if they have to pay somebody off, a judge or whatever, pay the person that's making the decision, they'll figure out a way to grease their palms and get out of it. But it seems pretty cut and dry. If the NLRB first hearing officer found that this was in violation of that law that means that you can't surveil your workers or give them propaganda that is anti-union in the presence of managers, it seems like they've nailed them. It's pretty cut and dry. So this is good news. I hope we can get a revote. If it were fair and square and these people weren't being propagandized and the union leaders were able to effectively get their word out without being threatened by this company, then I think the union would pass. And once that first domino falls, guys, they're all going to go. So this is extremely important. I was so let down when we lost that vote, and I was even more let down to see the numbers skewed the way they were. It was bogus. It was bogus. So we might get another shot at it. I hope that the people that voted understand the importance of voting correct this time, and don't let them propagandize you guys. Come on now. You don't want to lick the boots of Jeff Bezos instead of voting for your own rights at work, and that includes paid time off, benefits, medical coverage. How about restroom breaks? I've heard horrible things about people that work for Amazon having to shit in plastic bags. Like, you shouldn't have to shit in a Pringles canister when you go to work. Fuck Jeff Bezos. Vote to unionize. You won't have to do that shit anymore. You guys are in the worst working conditions in America. Just don't screw this up. Do what you gotta do. Make it 2-1 the opposite way this time. Vote to unionize. And then all the other Amazon factories will see your fine example and they'll do the same. So, some good news, guys. Occasionally I like to do that for you. I still want you to keep fighting the good fight, and I will, if I can, try to get you guys the election results of Nina Turner versus Shontel Brown. Methinks that it won't... I don't know. If it's a blowout either way, the results will be in tonight. I'm not so sure it's going to be. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I hope it's not. I hope it's a blowout for Nina Turner. It's so close that it's like Bernie Sanders in Nevada. Like, it's indisputable who won. So let's cheer for Nina, run the Nina experiment here, and I'll try to get the results of that election to you tonight. I'll talk to you later.